Good morning, College of the Atlantic. This is Evan Martin.
And Gwendolyn Shope.
And this is the Windward News, brought to you by Donald Trump Industries.
Building relationships one wall at a time.
We are coming to you from College of the Atlantic Studios. Today's date is September 28, 2015, coming into week 3.
This week's ACM will be held from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. in Gates Auditorium. We start with minutes from standing committees and then move on to a presentation on the upcoming 10-year accreditation review by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. From there, we move to a discussion of possible amendments to the on-campus smoking policy.
ACM will be discussing e-cigs, vapes, hookahs, medicinal marijuana, and the places where they are allowed and are not allowed on campus.
Moving right along to the next segment, committees this week.
Steering will be meeting this Thursday at 8 a.m. in the library seminar room. They will be discussing the previous ACM and planning agenda for the next one. The date and time is subject to change to accommodate members of the committee. They are also actively looking for new members. It is a great way to understand how decisions are made here at College of the Atlantic.
The Student Life Committee is meeting at 11 a.m. on Monday mornings on the third floor of Deering. This week, they will approve and amend minutes from week 1 and prepare to lead an open initial discussion as well as feedback session on the amendments and discussion based on the smoking policy. And they will also be going over future scheduling for the committee.
Moving on to clubs, Advanced Swimming Club will be meeting every Friday from 7:15 to 8 a.m. at the Y. You can contact Yaniv Corman for more information.
The Outing Club is meeting this Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. in Deering. Contact Julie Bowser for more information. This week's Human Ecology Forum will be held Tuesday, September 29th at 4:10 p.m. in the lecture hall. The speaker is Surya Karki, and his presentation is entitled Nepal Earthquake, Looking at It as an Opportunity. To get more information, fellow correspondent Abby St. Ange spoke with Surya about his upcoming presentation.
Joining us today is Surya Karki, a senior at COA and co-founder of Diallo Foundation. He has recently returned from Nepal, where he was working on relief and development efforts. All right, so what were you doing in Nepal exactly?
I was in Nepal with hopes to construct schools and also start a business through the Astro program at the College of the Atlantic.
What was your biggest challenge while you were there?
Well, the biggest challenge while I was there was realizing that I was there, and knowing that it was unexpected, though it was expected or predicted by many, that we were in a seismic zone. But, unexpectedly on the 25th, you just get shaken. I think that was the most surprising part.
And for your presentation, what do you want people to take away from it?
Well, after the earthquake, it's been predicted that we've been pushed back years and years in terms of development, and I in no way disagree with that, but I also think it's a relevant chance for Nepalese communities to come together and eventually decide on a future which is opportunistic, and I certainly think there are many avenues that people from around the world could be involved. And I just want to portray through my presentation that earthquake was one incident that happened, but along with it came many opportunities, and out of those opportunities I had the privilege to be part of few, and just wanted to show that even in a world that is very concerned and concerning about many elements of what's the reconstruction like and stuff like that, there are other aspects to it in different parts of Nepal where youth are getting involved and creating different kinds of opportunities, like maybe ventures or even forming groups that really change how communities developed. So really redefining development.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and giving us a little preview before your talk.
My pleasure.
This Thursday at 8 p.m., we are having our open mic in Deering. Fall Fly-Ins are going to be there. There's going to be free cookies, coffee, tea. Anyone is welcome to come and perform. You can do poetry, songs, dance, jokes, stories, puppetry. MCs include Josh Tone and Aspen Budd. So come on down and we'll have some fun. Now on to the COA Spotlight. We have something going on in town this weekend.
The Criterion Theater presents All of Us 2, a tribute to Brown Bird benefit concert for Beth C. Wright Cancer Resource Center. This will be held October 3rd at 8 p.m., and the doors open at 7 p.m. Tickets are $12 for students, $15 for orchestra seats, and $25 for balcony seats. All of the proceeds from your ticket sales go to the Cancer Resource Center. Performances by Nat Baldwin from the Dirty Projectors, Wesley Allen Hartley and Greg Jamie from O Death, Lisa Liza, Jeff Beam, String Builder from Death Vessel, and Micah Blue Smeldone.
Our correspondent, Amelia Troyer, interviewed faculty member Sean Todd about his upcoming expedition to Antarctica.
This is Amelia Troyer here with Sean Todd, marine science professor, here to talk to us about his upcoming trip to Antarctica. So how are you getting to Antarctica?
I am getting to Antarctica mostly by boat.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's about a 10,000 mile trip to get down to South America. There are a number of points you can leave from to get to the Antarctic. I do most of my work in the Antarctic Peninsula,
Mm-hmm.
which means that my natural pickup point would be South America somewhere. So typically I leave from either Ushuaia in Argentina or I leave from Punta Arenas in Chile. And the boat trip usually takes a day and a half to 2 days to get across a stretch of water called the Drake Passage, and then that takes us to the peninsula.
Mm-hmm. And who goes with you?
So professionally, I'm part of a team of guides that are certified through IATO, which is the group that certifies all ecotourism operations down in the Antarctic. And I'm typically on staff as a guide to a variety of different kinds of guests who, for whatever reason, want to go down there, and they're usually different kinds of people that go down there. There's the kinds of people that have been saving up all their life, and this is on the thing that they want to do. And then there are some people perhaps who have more means at their disposal and choose to go down on a trip like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very, very mixed group. It's typically a sort of an older age group. So I would say the average age of the guest on the trip is probably somewhere between 50 and 60 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's really a means to an end. I enjoy guiding, and I really enjoy working with the public, and I enjoy showing them things that are very special to me in terms of wildlife and scenery. The main purpose for me is collecting whale tails. We have a contract at Allied Whale with the International Fund for Animal Welfare and the International Whaling Commission to develop a catalogue that is monitoring the recovery of the humpback whale in the Southern Ocean. And it's very expensive to go down there on a boat. So if I can kill two birds with one stone and essentially use the vessel I'm on as a platform of opportunity, then everyone wins. For the price of me doing a couple of lectures on board the boat, I get a platform from which to do my work. And the two things are very compatible. Mm-hmm. And often I try to, if the crew allows me to, and they often do, I try to create this sort of citizen science type approach where I get everyone on the boat working for me. Any passenger can take the photograph that will make it to the catalogue, and we have workshops on how to take photographs and workshops on looking at what they got and whether it was usable. So it's a lot of fun in that regard.
Mm-hmm. And what do you hope to see, or what have you seen in the past?
Antarctica is it's a very, very special place. And when I say Antarctica, I'm using the term kind of loosely because usually on the way to Antarctica, we stop off on a couple of islands that are within the Antarctic ecosystem. So it would include islands like South Georgia and the Falklands, which are just incredibly special places.
Mm-hmm.
So an incredible amount of biodiversity and a huge amount of biomass. So, I go principally because of humpbacks. There are loads of humpbacks down there. They're getting very, very common. Certainly in particular areas that we're becoming more interested in. But really, I've seen most species of rorqual down there that should be down there. So, for example, it's always very special to see a blue whale. Mm-hmm. And, I usually see a couple of those a year, which is, the largest animal that's ever existed on this planet, which is a very, very cool experience. I also see quite a few southern right whales, which their northern counterpart is very rare, but the southern counterpart is doing quite well and it's becoming more and more common. And then there's always the rare stuff, like the maybe the odd sperm whale or a beaked whale of some kind, much harder to see. Those are always very special events. But it's not just about the whales. I love working with seals. The southern elephant seal is the largest seal that we have, and it's 14 to 15 feet long in the male, which is just a lot of seal. The first time I saw southern elephant seals, I thought they were rocks, but it turned out they were animals. There's also the Antarctic fur seal, which is an incredibly comical animal that requires a lot of active management when you're on a beach with it, because they tend to have a lot of hormones inside them and they just want to challenge you all the time. So you have to think about how to manage that. So it's fun. I mean, I want to say it's a learning experience. It is, and I learned so much. But it's also fun, and that's why I do it. It's incredibly enriching and incredibly recharging for me. I come back to the college just ready to teach all about this stuff, because it's so exciting and it's so raw. I don't think there's any such thing as a true wilderness left on this planet. But if there were such a thing, maybe it would be Antarctica. And it is this incredibly raw experience of just pure nature. It's right in your face.
I think that thoroughly answers the last question. What is that keeps bringing you back?
So that rawness, and also the challenge. I mean, I've had some experiences down there that have been pretty profound, that have pushed me. Pushed me mentally, pushed me physically. There have been times when I've never been so cold in my life. Mm-hmm. And, I'm wearing all the right gear, so I'm safe. But still, just to know that you're living in an environment that could take you out in a second if you did the wrong thing, so you don't do the wrong thing, right? So that's really interesting. Working on the water, it's a rough patch of water sometimes, and that brings its challenges too. So as a mariner, I've been stretched, and it's a nice affirmation to know that I can do these things and still come back safe. Also, that comes about as a result of the camaraderie that you develop with these amazing crew that I work with. It's you don't go down to Antarctica alone. You have to be a part of a team, mm-hmm. And so the team that you develop and the relationships that develop as a result of that are extraordinary. I've made friends there that I know will be friends for life, because we have like interests, like passions, but we've also come to depend upon each other professionally and in terms of safety. So the camaraderie of the trip is also wonderful.
Well, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And now for a brief poem with Avi St. Ange.
September Tomatoes by Karina Borwitz. The whiskey stink of rot has settled in the garden, and a burst of fruit flies rises when I touch the dying tomato plants. Still, the claws of tiny yellow blossoms flail in the air as I pull the vines up by the roots and toss them into the compost. It feels cruel. Something in me isn't ready to let go of summer so easily, to destroy what I've carefully cultivated all these months. Those pale flowers might still have time to fruit. My great-grandmother sang with the girls in her village as they pulled the flax, songs so old and so tired, to the season that they very sound seemed to turn the weather.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's Windward News, recorded at College of the Atlantic Studios, published by Maximum Tone Records.
This week's interviews are by Amelia Troyer and Abby St. Ange. This podcast is produced and edited by Josh Tone. This week's podcast is hosted by Gwendolyn Shope
and Evan Martin.
Tune in next Monday for episode 2.
And if you personally have anything you would like to add to the podcast, just contact Joshua Tone at jtone, TOHN, looks like Ton, at coa.edu. And remember, keep it classy, COA.